Greetings. I'm Sister Myra. I thank you for being here. Okay, the first thing we have to do, of course, is welcome the spirits, the ancestral spirits, the elemental spirits, the universal spirits, and have them fill this seat, bring their energy, so that the information can come through. So I just want to acknowledge the spirits and welcome them here. Ashe.
Ashe.
Okay. Now, the title of this lecture is The Cosmic Christ. This is the conference for this is the conference for the Black Christ Conference. And so what I'm going to speak on is the Cosmic Christ. And first I want to start off by this book here. Gosh, my little Bible is just all in pieces here. But this book, I'm going to start with this book. It's called The Astrological Foundation of the Christ Myths. Okay? It's by Malik H. Jabbar, the author of The Plot, the Cause, and the Solution. What I first want to establish is, I'll just read a little bit from here. It says, the chapter in this book, The Celestial Womb, questions the biblical statement, "Let us make man in our image after our likeness." The author invites the reader to question not only the terms image, likeness, and spirit, but also to question to whose or to what image or likeness did the writer of Genesis refer. And this image, is this image a human being? Is this image a spiritual force? We assume from early religious teachings that God has the appearance of a man. Is this conceit on man's part or a fact? Perhaps, as Mr. Jabbar suggests, the writer of Genesis was speaking of symbolic images. Mr. Jabbar's hypothesis is that man was created in the image of the cosmos. Okay? And that's what we're going to talk about, the cosmic Christ. Okay? It says the creation myths based on celestial figures, especially the sun, reflects the worldview of most ancient societies. These cosmogenic or creation myths serves as a basis for their religious practices. A common theme in these myths is the creation of an ordered universe out of chaos, light out of darkness. It began with the darkness, okay? That's the feminine. You're going to find that everything is going to boil down to opposites, the dualities. Everything that we do is in line with duality, as above, so below. Well, I was talking about your spiritual self and then your physical self, you see. We forget we have a spiritual self. This is where we connect with our magic. This is where we connect with our miracles, you see, through our spiritual self. But they have programmed us not to even deal with that, to even think about it, to make you feel ashamed or embarrassed or wrong. I've talked to a lot of people who had the gift to tap into spiritual information, but they are afraid of it, you see, or they are ridiculed of it, you see. That's to get us to ignore our spiritual half, which is our power. It's where our power, see. So that's what we're going to look at. We're going to connect the as above with the below. Okay? That's what my whole mission is to do, to bring us into our holistic selves so that we can operate from that empowerment, you see. Because once we start operating fully, and that means using all of these energies, you see, then we become whole. Then is when we can make our transformation, which means reverse our energy rotation and tap into the universal source of empowerment, you see. Only then can we do that. So that's one of the reasons why they programmed us to think literally, to narrow our vision, so that we don't open up and step up to the rulership. We are the royal rulers of the universe, We just don't know it, and it takes a knowing because we are in the Aquarian age. We're moving out of Pisces into Aquarius. Pisces is about I believe, and Aquarius is about I know. So you have to know in order to activate your power. It's not enough to believe anymore. Okay? So it says, although ancient Egypt had many gods, Ra was the principal god. He was the god of Heliopolis. I'm trying to get that right. Let's see. Heliopolis, that's it. The city of the sun, and was always depicted in human form. He was the ancestor of Geb and Nut, Set, Nephthys, Osiris, Isis, and Horus. He created himself and the universe. In the beginning of things are the dark waters, without form and void. Then Ra-Atum introduces the germ of life. Air and moisture followed, so to be succeeded by earth and sky. When represented in human form as a composite god, he is shown with the hawk's head of Horus and Ra's solar crown, and from the sun disk atop the god's head, rays of flowers stream down upon the worshiper. In visualizing this human form of Ra, one can easily think of pictures of Jesus Christ, with his head encircled with a halo or a sunlight disk with rays of light emitted from the sun-like halo. So what we're doing is making a comparison between the sun and Jesus, you see. This is where they got this story from, you see. So this is what this book does. It goes in and it gives you an analogy of the comparison between these two and why they got the information, you know, and what it was based on from the cosmos. It says, predicting future events was common with ancient people. The right time to sow seeds for harvest was a matter of feast or famine. Knowing when the rivers, the Nile, would overflow was essential. The ancients studied the cosmos for answers. Astronomy was used during Egypt's archaic period to forecast the annual rise of the Nile. The Mayans believed that history repeated itself in endless, recurrent cycles, which made it easy to predict the future. They believed that time was the spiritual and philosophical basis of the universe. Okay? So it says the sky deity was necessary for creation. To show how man's identification with the cosmic cycles may have influenced the writing of the Christ myth, the author describes the sun god, the Father, impregnating the cosmos, the virgin, with the seed of life to produce a new sun, S-U-N as well as S-O-N. And when we talk about the impregnating the cosmos, we're talking about the universe, you know, the great mother, the blackness of the universe, the Nut, you see. So she represents the great mother, you see. And what happens is like she produced the sun, S-O-N, S-U-N, and then brought forth light. So light had to come from the darkness, just like it was stated earlier, light coming from the darkness, you see. The mother producing the sun, you know. And as the sun cools down and turns into a planet, that represents the Father in the equation, okay? You know, and as for us, the earth, you know, we being an offspring of Saturn, because it's been proven that Saturn was actually the father of the earth, you know, a satellite. The earth was a satellite of Saturn. You know, that represented the father, and then the earth represents the daughter. So we have a complete mother, son, father, daughter. Number 4 is the number of balance, you see. You know, that's why we got the 4 corners, you know, the 4 elements. You know, that number 4 represents balance, okay? So it says, the most important sun god spent each night as the dead sun, journeying through the 12 regions of the underworld, giving comfort to the imprisoned souls of the good being besieged by evil's forces, but was always able to survive his course to be resurrected or reborn at sunrise. The myth of Osiris, father of Horus, describes his own death and resurrection in a daily cycle that emulates the sun's death, sunset, and rebirth, sunrise. The myths of Ra, Osiris, Israel, Jesus, all emulate the travels of the sun from its northern limit to its southern limit to its death, a period in hell, and back to its northern limit, rebirth, you see. So this is the resurrection that they're talking about, you see. You can equate everything that they're telling you about Jesus, and you see the 12 regions of the underworld, you see. This is what we're looking at, you see. The 12 signs of the zodiac, you see. So, let's see. Next page here. 3, 4. Okay. It says here, can you imagine the Creator God being subject to the same needs, weaknesses, and limitations that we endure? I most certainly cannot. Some say that our likeness to God refers to the spirit and not to the flesh. Okay? This English word spirit is derived from the Latin spiritus, which means breath or to breathe, the act of inhaling and exhaling. So what are we saying? What God breathes as we do? Again, are we making God dependent upon a product of his creation, that is to say air, which is the vital constitution of human respiration? Let us define the word spiritual, which may be more on target to defining the godly image with which we say we are created after. Spiritual, of, relating to, consisting of, or having the nature of spirit, not tangible or material. Synonymous with immaterial, of concern with or affecting the soul, of, from, or relating to God, belonging to church or religion, it's questionable, sacred, relating to or having the nature of spirits or a spirit, the supernatural. So when we're talking about God making us in his image, you know, we're talking about the spirit of things. And when we're talking about the spirit of things, we're talking about energy rays, okay? Energy rays that come together to form spiritual force, you see. That's what we're talking about. So, and when you bring all those spiritual forces together in its wholeness, then you're talking about God, okay? The laws of the universe are dictated by the principles of righteousness, okay? And all 12 signs of the zodiac represents one of those 12 principles of righteousness, see? And when we start acting up under all these energies, then we are acting under our fullness and our wholeness, and that's what brings us to our Godhood, you see. And you leave just one out, just one of these out, you're an aberrant entity. You're continuing in that physical rotation or that physical flow, you see. And if you use all of these energies, you know, then that's what causes a transformation, and that's what puts you in tune with the spiritual rotation or the universal rotation. And that's how come you're able to access and tap into that empowerment there, you see. So the physical body is just the shell. It's the illusion. I can't say that enough. The physical is the illusion. It's the spiritual that is reality, because then we're talking about the energies that are being demonstrated, you see. It says the word spiritual seems to indicate that which is unseen and immaterial, unearthly, that which relates to our soul and what is a soul. Again, let me present another definition about soul. It says the soul, the animating and vital principle in human beings, credited with the facilities of thought, action, and emotion, and often conceived as an immaterial entity. The spiritual nature of human beings, regarded as immortal, separable from the body at death, and susceptible to happiness or misery in a future state. The disembodied spirit of a dead human being a shade. Now, when we talk about the spirit, that's when we're talking about the masculine, okay? When we're talking about the soul, that's when we're talking about the feminine, okay? The spirit is the element of the air, okay? And this is when we're dealing with, you know, our spirit connection, our spirit access. But the water is the element of the soul, you see, and that's when we're dealing with the feminine or the mother aspect, you see. So the spirit, the soul, and the body is what we're looking at. Now, the thing with white folks is that they have a body, they even have a spirit, but their problem is the soul. See, that's where they can't access that, you see. When they put a glass ceiling on us in the physical, They have a glass ceiling on the spiritual, because that's the we're talking about Mother Newt, who is the blackness of the universe, you see? And that blackness of the universe is equatable to the blackness, the melanin. That's the melanin factor, okay? So that's what gives us the fluidity to tap out into the universe, you see, where they can't get out there, you see. They can't access that. We scratch our heads and wonder, why are they like that? Why are they so heartless? You know, and they're scratching their heads and saying, what's up with him? You know, because they don't know. It's not in them to feel like we feel, you see. They really, they're from us, you know, they're just deficient. They are deficient. They don't have, their melanin, their pineal gland is calcified, you see. So they, in other words, it's like, I mean, you can follow a lot of the theories, you know, the Yakub theory, all of this, where they were purged out of us. It's like when they removed the melanin, you know, it's like they removed all the good. You separated the good from the bad, you know. You separated the mother principle from them, which is the compassion, the water, the emotions, you know. So it's like they were stripped. They were stripped of their soul.
Are you familiar with the book Urugu by Marimba Ani?
No.
Because in the Dogon tradition that she has outlined in the book, she says that the white race, that they came without their, you know, how you male and female, the
Right.
twin soul,
Right.
that they were born without their female twin soulmate, that they came upon the planet too soon, that they did not wait for completion.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that they got here, and that they called this Urugu spirit, that it was born without its feminine twin soul mate to complete it. And that they are like incomplete entities.
And that makes sense, because that's the reason why they are so busy trying to keep the twin souls from coming together now.
And
because
it's so hostile to women. The white man is very hostile in his nature toward the feminine energy. You know, he feels like he has to compete with her, you know, and that he must dominate and control, and he's really not in balance with her.
See, what I tell people is that, the white man had to rape Mother Earth. You know, he had to rape her of her materials in order to empower himself, because he didn't have it within him, you see. The biggest deception came was when they convinced us that we had to empower ourselves the same way, you see, because we do have it within us, you see. So we were supposed to be vanguards. We were supposed to be protecting Mother Earth, you see. But yet instead we joined in. They made us feel like if you don't have the materials, then you're the one inadequate. And they had to rape Mother Earth of her materials because they were inadequate, you see. So what they did was turn the tables on us, you see. And so, but we are opposites. You know, there's a lot of propaganda going around now about let's all live together as one, as equal, you know. And the fact is that, in other words, they're trying to equal status because they know we're at a superior status, you see. So it's a lot of propaganda going around that we are the same, you know. Let's join together in love and harmony and fight against any evil that's coming to destroy this civilization.
But they have never lived by that principle.
No, but they know
They know
what time it is now.
Oh, okay.
See, so now it's time to embrace us, you know, because the spiritual rule is starting to dominate now. And they are the physical, they are the material people, we are the spiritual people, okay? So now that they know that the material reign is at an end, now it's time to embrace the spiritual people because our rise is their demise.
So we equal now.
Yeah. No, we've always been more than equal. It's just that we never knew how to access. We've been led away by the proverbial material carrot, you see. We think our power comes from the material, you know, when it comes from the spirit, you see. We can empower ourselves from the universe, but we're so caught up in, you know, looking at our material. We're distracted, in other words. by the material. And so they understand now it's not really about the material, it's about the power. And the power, as we get more into our spiritual reign, that means we're able now to start tapping into our, and the material world is going to take a back seat to that. It's not going to carry the weight that it carried before, you see.
So they don't want us to use, when we come into that power against them, they want us to see them as friends.
Embrace them, right. That's why they put out movies like, Independence, where, you have Will Smith leading the way to protect them against this meteor that's coming to destroy. Anything of antiquity represents us. And you see, white folks know it's all about symbolism. They purposely programmed us to narrow our vision and think only on a literal physical perspective, so we don't see the whole picture. Well, they are tapping into the fullness of the information, through symbolic, because when you want to deal with the spirit, then you have to start symbolizing what you want, because spirit can't limit itself to little physical details, you see. So they know it's all about symbolism, you see. So what they did was, like the word nigger. If any of you have heard me before, you heard me talk about the word nigger. It's actually a title, okay? It's actually a title, and it's a karmic law that they had to bestow us with our title. So what they did was they changed they reversed our perception of what it meant. Now, if you look in any dictionary, N-E-G-U-S, negus. Do you know what it means? King of kings. King of kings, okay? The sovereign of Ethiopia.
They have the book,
yes.
The
yes, it's the same thing, because we're talking vibrations, energy, niggas, it's the same thing, okay? So, that's what it is. The physical definition is the lowest of the low. But the spiritual definition is King of Kings, okay? So they purposely narrowed our perception to a physical perception so that we will see it as, us being the lowest of the low.
To fit what they wanted us to create for ourselves.
Right, absolutely. Because what we believe is what we create. And if we hear the word and think lowest of the low, we create that condition for ourselves. See, we've been running around in this victim-type mentality when we are the gods of the universe. Because someone has reversed our perception, okay? As above, so below. Everything's in a duality, but in its opposite. So if we're going to say the physical definition of niggas is the lowest of the low, then the spiritual definition is the King of Kings, or the highest of the high, okay? And then when we start claiming our spiritual rulership, then we'll step into that definition, and leave the physical one behind, okay? You see, so that's why they programmed us to think literally and in the opposite of what everything actually, for us to actually step into our power, see. So they get these people like Will Smith, they put these movies out here like Independence Day, and anything that's coming up against our civilization, they say, we need to band together and fight against that, when they know that's only we're fighting against our own energy. This is the prophecy. Have any of you seen the movie Dark Crystal?
Yes.
Okay? And what did those little buzzard creatures, I forget what they called them, but they were like, when the crystal showed them that there was two Geflings alive, which represented us, they were like, the prophecy, the prophecy. The Geflin is going to take us out of our rulership. You see? This is real, So they're doing everything they can to circumvent us receiving this information. They're spraying, they got the heart program, our food. You can't even find seeds. Do you know we get our information from their seeds? That's why all your fruits now is seedless. That's how we get our information from Mother Earth, through the seed. So that's why they're trying to do everything to keep us from understanding. We're getting help. Other galaxies are sending us this information. We just have to be able to lift our vibration to access it. But they are doing everything to keep us from lifting our vibration. They're spraying stuff in the air. They're keeping us caught up in our fears, you see. Because those are the three things that stop us from our empowerment, is our fears, our doubts, and our guilt. The minute you start doing that, I like to use this demonstration. See if I got something big enough here. Okay? It's like, because a lot of people, and like you were talking about when I was saying on the radio, how we have to first validate the spirit. Now, in order to reverse things, we got to validate the spirit and then let it manifest physically, you see. But look at this container, this carton here, and look at it as a whole thing. Like this half represents you, and this half represents your spirit, okay? Because that's actually how we are connected. Now, say you're doing your spiritual work right here. This is you doing your spiritual work. This is Scorpio energy, okay? You're over here doing your work. That's what your work is. Scorpio is about transformation. It's about the demolitionist, tear down the old so we can rebuild at a higher level. So say you're a drug counselor or something, and you're helping people tear down their eyes and rebuild at a higher level, and you're doing your spiritual work. You have to have the confidence that while I'm doing my spiritual work, my spirit got my back on the other end and taking care of my personal needs. You see what I'm saying? But you have to have the faith that your spirit is actually taking care of those needs as you are doing your spiritual work. But what happens? You're doing your spiritual work. It's in the second house, which is the money house, Taurus, and it's working on taking care of your personal needs. But suppose you're doubtful. Suppose you get afraid. Oh, wait, what is happening? I need to pay this bill. It's coming up. I ain't seen this money. I'm really concerned about that. So you're taking your attention off of your spiritual work, and you're going over here to see what's happening here. What are you doing? You're moving the spirit off of it. You're moving the spirit away, because everything you do, if I'm going to swing around, I'm swinging spirit around too. I'm moving it from what it is that it's supposed to be doing, because I'm now not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Those are the worries and the fears that will take your spirit off its course in order to try to open up what it's supposed to open up for you. But because of your doubts and your fears, you see, you've actually limited your spirit to accomplish that goal, you see. Because we have to have complete faith in our power, and like I said, we have to know our power in order to activate our power. What ruler can put forth a command and then worry about it being carried out? You see? Until we act as if we know who we are, we don't empower ourselves, you see. And the spirit will do that. See, that's why I'm saying validate the spirit. And see, we're sitting around here waiting for physical proof in order to understand whether or not the spirit is working for us. Well, I asked spirit to bring me that car. I need a way to get to work, and it didn't bring it to me. It ain't doing its job, But it's not going to do its job until you validate it, until you know that it's more real than that physical concern about your car. You see, then you're putting more stock in the car, in the material, than you're putting in the spiritual, you see. And Spirit wants you to give it Spirit is trying everything to prove its power to us, but it wants the credit. I've had people say, well, how come it won't bring me, $1 million, Because then you give all the credit to the money. You go about solving all your problems, and then you can say, my $1 million solved my problems, you see. And Spirit is very jealous about that. It definitely wants to prove that you have the power. And it does funny little things to show you that, but since we put more stock in the material, then, we don't see it. And if we don't see it, we don't acknowledge it. You have to acknowledge it. Like I always tell people to pick up a feather if they ever walk upon it, because it means you've been practicing the principles of Maat, and that you're about to be rewarded because of that just practice that you've been doing. But you can't receive your gift until you pick up the feather, you see. You have to receive the gift by receiving the feather.
And I've walked over, not a lot of times, but I have walked over a feather because I didn't know that.
Yes. Once you receive that feather, you receive the gift, okay? So that's what we're saying. We have to continue to prove the power of the Spirit. The Spirit sometimes will tell you something, knowing you're not going to listen to it because you've already put forth your own agenda. The Spirit say, no, don't do it that way. Don't do it that way. An example, I do my astrological charts on my computer. That's, I don't use a computer very much, but I do my astrological charts. And it started breaking down on me. First my monitor went out. Then my keyboard went out, my mouse went out, and then it just wouldn't boot up, you see. They said the A drive went out. So they sent me this little advertisement. They said, oh, you can come and get a computer, $499. I said, ooh, I'm not going to find a deal like that right when I need it. Let me go get this computer. Spirit said, no. What? I need it to do my, no, don't do it. So I was wrestling with that. I said, well, that would be the sensible thing to do. I need a computer. This one's old. It's not working. And so I was wrestling with it. So what I do when I'm wrestling with it, I go get my tarot cards. I said, okay, I'm going to do a tarot. I pulled the tarot card. I pulled the lover's card, which is about choices. It says choices that go beyond rational decision. I said, okay, the rational thing to do was to go get this computer. I said, but this is, Spirit's telling me no, so I'm going to listen to Spirit, and I'm not going to get the computer. I'm going to let the deadline pass. I'm not going to get it. And as soon as I made that decision, I went to Gladys' class. Guy walked up to me, and he said, can you do my chart? And I was like, well, yeah. I said, I guess I'll go back on doing them on hand now because my computer's not working. He said, what's wrong with your computer? I said, I don't know. He said, bring me that computer. And Spirit had told me that. He did. He worked and got my computer back working. And Spirit told me that the Spirit said, I don't care if you spend $100. It'll be more than what you have to spend if you listen to me. Okay? And so I did his chart, him and his wife's chart, and he fixed my computer. You see. That's what I mean, listening to your Spirit. You see. So, and getting in, and starting to put more faith in what your Spirit tells you than what is rational, or that's when you're getting into the physical, So anyway, I keep getting get off into it. But what I wanted to do with this book was to establish the connection between the cosmos and the story of the Christ or the Jesus, and how that story came out and how it's equated with the cosmos. It says, there were many, many more gods and saviors born of the mother. It said the fact that so many saviors were alleged to have been born on the same day of the year under the same and similar circumstances in vastly scattered locations of the world through thousands of years of history indicates a worldwide dissemination of a common mythology. Then they talk about the biggest lie ever told, about Jesus, but I was trying to get to some of the examples that they had of, let's see, 5. Okay, here it is. It says, as stated in this expert book, for December 25th as the day of birth for the sun, S-U-N, or the sun god, goes back into pre-history. That hallowed reckoning for this day did not begin 2,000 with the Christ. Jesus, so-called, was simply the latest personage to be linked to this ancient date of December 25th, depicted as the birth of the sun god. It says Krishna of India, born on the 21st. His mother was Maya. Krishna means black or dark. His uncle, the ruler at the time of his birth, sought to kill him because he had heard a prophecy that Krishna would overthrow him. Krishna escaped death by being snuggled out of this area to safety. Mithra of Persia, born on December 25th. His birth was witnessed by shepherds and brought gifts to honor him. He was styled as a mediator between God and men. Witness this quote from, I'm not going to read that quote. And then they talk about Horus of Egypt. It said born on December. His mother Isis gave birth to him in the swamp. She was warned by the god Thoth to flee and conceal the child from evil Set. Set had killed the father of Horus, whose name was Osiris, and Horus. Also, Isis was able to keep Horus hidden from Set till he grew to manhood. Horus sought to avenge the murder of his father and made war against Set and defeated him. Buddha of India, born on December 25th. His mother's name was Maya. She was a virgin. He was at least conceived, and at birth he announced that he was a savior to the world. His birth was announced by a star. At his birth he was visited by wise men who declared that they had signs of his birth, that is to say, sign royal birth. See, and they've got many more of these figures that that they patterned this Jesus image off of. It says the fact that so many saviors were alleged to have been born on the same day of the year and under the same and similar circumstances in vastly scattered locations of the world throughout thousands of years of history indicates a worldwide dissemination of a common mythology. Okay, you're going to find the truth in the myths, you see, in the fables, in the legends, in the comics, in the cartoons, and the real truth that you see, so that's what this is trying to establish, that the personage, Jesus Christ, was actually after a Christ spirit or entity that represented, the things that they put in one man. And I always tell people, when you're dealing with the physical, that's when you're dealing with an individual. But when you're dealing with the spiritual, that's a collective. You cannot expect to cooperate with you, when you're dealing on a physical level. Even the astrological chart reflects that. If you'll see on this side, we have the personal side, you see. That's the physical side. On this side, we have our social side, you see. It's like, so if you're just purely concentrated over here on your personal side and trying to get, things to happen for you from a spiritual, but doing it from a personal perspective, you're not going to get much cooperation from spirit, you see.
I was a connection because I was noticing that when I always read the Bible, and I was like, they always want to teach the Bible as if this happened so many thousands of years ago. And I was like, you got to bring those stories up to date.
Today, absolutely.
See see what I'm saying? See where the Davids and the Jesus are.
Yes.
Because if you keep thinking, okay, this happened long time ago, and if this God is still God, then whatever that God did back then, it got to still be doing it today. So
yes.
You need to be trying to find out, okay, who's the Jesus of my time?
Right.
Who is the David of my time?
Right.
And people just don't, they want to keep everything back 2,000, 6,000 years ago.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, you have to bring that up to date.
Just like we were talking about, in the last lecture here, I was talking about the old story, which is really the Samson and Delilah story.
Okay.
Samson, come on, you guys. Okay? It wasn't about one man, about the black man who is empowering the enemy, the woman of his people. Okay? That's what that story was really about. It wasn't just about OJ, but the bigger picture of that, like he represented the physical side, but like you said, we've got to make that jump and know, as above, so below, that there's a bigger message, unfolding here. And so those who didn't get that message, like Puffs and Montel Williams, you're seeing them on the decline, because they're snubbing their nose at the great mother herself. She's the feminine blackness of the universe, and you want to be with this white woman, you see.
And is that because the feminine energy is not teaching them?
Right.
Because they're being taught that in Christ we're all the same.
Yes.
And so through this Christianity and religion, once again, the male is being bamboozled into thinking that choice that you can select. But see, for each one, there was something created for you.
Right.
And so, the Creator did not want us all mixed up. That's why for each species, male and female was given. So if we were all meant to be jumbled all together, this mixed multitude, this Gentile race, you are an indigenous Pacific breed of people, and you're supposed to be separate from everybody else.
Right. Well, we're the highest on the hierarchy, okay? Because like I started off in the book reading how, the light came from the darkness. And when we're talking the darkness, so that's where the power is, you see. But right now it's a hidden power that is about to be manifest, you see. And you're going to see a lot of that happening right now, in particular, because we're in the energy. Pisces is ruled by that planet Neptune, which is about spirituality or deception, okay? Now it's been mainly used as a deception. Okay, this is how we got the religion, because coming out of the Piscean age it's a water sign, which is emotions, okay? And then if we're talking Neptune, which is deception, we're talking manipulation. So we're talking the manipulation of our emotions, to define, in the age of I believe, to define what you believe. Anyone who can define what you believe defines what you create.
That's right.
Okay?
That's right.
So this is what's happening here is like, so that's what the Pisces energy was doing. It was bringing, that's how we got to this stuff. It was a stepping stone. It was necessary, you see. We can't stay in the dark ages, see. We got to move on up now. See, we're going reverse. We're going now into the Aquarian age, you see. And that age is about a knowing, you see. That's when we go deep inside and we find our own gifts, our own godhood. We become in partnership with our spirit. We empower our spirit to open up the magic and the miracles for us, you see, and empower us, you know, but it won't do that unless we know that, okay? And then we bring to the table. It's not trying to blend our energies. We're trying to combine our energies. We're all creators here, creating from our own perspective, just like the flowers growing in the valley, okay? All of them partaking of the air, the water, but some of them sits closer to the water. Some sits on the hill. Some sits, you know, in the valley. So they're all created from still those four elements, but they are all bringing forth their own beauty, their own design. And that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to bring together, bring about our own beauty, our own godhood, our own powers, and then bring that and combine it with others' creative power to make this whole, this collectedness that we talk about, the God, really, the wholeness, the godness, the one and all and the all in one, okay? You see, and you see, our ancient ancestors, our Indian ancestors, our African ancestors, they knew this. They knew it was about the spirits in the air, the spirits in the water, the spirits in the earth, and the spirit there that we can tap into to empower ourselves. And this is why we were programmed to look at just one God. It's the one God theory that clamps us of our powers. Because you're thinking it's blasphemous for me to see myself, you know, as this creative power, you see. And so you're not tapping into that because you're, you know, but because they're telling you there's only one God. Well, who do I think I am? If I think, if there's only know myself as God, then who do I think I am, right? So, you know, there's many creators. You know, when we're talking God and the wholeness of what we're talking, the one God, that's when all of us comes together, collective consciousness as one. That's why we were so scientifically divided, you know. That's why the Lynch thing was necessary, to keep us fragmented and divided, because as long as we're fragmented, we're not operating like this, you see. And we have no way of accessing our power. I don't talk about a person's sign unless I talk about their opposite sign. You guys probably heard me say that on the radio many times.